Hello and welcome to this week's edition of SCLC TV. I'm Maynard Eaton, and of course, our president and CEO, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. Dr. Steele, you're something of a European sensation this week. You were featured in one of their most prestigious magazines, Paris Match, on June 28th. You've been complimented widely for that interview.
Well, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to the reporter in terms of the magazine. He was interested in the fact of my leadership in the same position of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but where do we go from here? After protests, what comes next? And I was very inspired by that interview. I understand it went all over Europe. I've gotten several people to call me. But I just think, man, once you do the work and seriously commit yourself to the civil rights movement in the spirit of Dr. King, everything else will take care of itself.
You said one of the headlines to the article was, Black people have become second-class citizens. In a reply section on Facebook, a woman responded saying, when have Black people ever been first class?
And that's a good question. And we did get a lot of response in terms of my interview with the Match magazine out of Paris. We have never been first class in actuality and reality. The perception was that when we got the 1965 Voter Rights Act, as well as the 1964 Public Accommodation Act passed, that we were somewhat considered on equal level in terms of people of the Caucasian race and people who normally been recognized as being of white supremacy in the history of this country. What we didn't anticipate and didn't envision was the fact that many of us, including myself, I was a young man at that time. Matter of fact, in 1965, I was still a teenager. But in that particular time, we thought that integration would solve all of our problems. Right. We were so far. Go ahead.
And it seduced us. Did it not? Somebody said integration seduced us into thinking everything's by and by, fine. It was a false hope.
It was a false hope, and it was a seducer, as you said. Dr. King recognized that prior to his being assassinated, that we were not inclusive enough, and particularly with economic development. But what many people, and most of us, and if they say that they didn't interpret it this way, they're not telling the truth. We all thought, and we rested on our laurels, that the 1965 Voter Rights Act and the 1964 Public Accommodation Act, we thought that was it. We didn't realize as soon as we accomplished those goals and those civil rights mandates, which was the most powerful in the historicity of America, which overlapped into the world, we never realized that as soon as we passed those landmarks and legislation to the history of being superb, that there was another vision of another group or race of people who were trying to eradicate it as we rested on our laurels. It was contemplated on removing that at the same time from folks who actually was considered our enemy, and that was state government. And it was state government that eradicated it, came out of Shelby versus Holder, out of Shelby County, Alabama.
That reporter, Olivier O'Mahony, also asked you, what do you think of Barack Obama, who's often criticized for not having done enough for the Black community? Your reply was?
My reply was, he did what he could. My reply also was, Maynard, that it's not about a certain individual or person of any type of ethnicity or background or race being in position when you are in a institutionalized racist system. President Barack Obama, I feel, did the best that he could, but it wasn't enough to liberate us from the systemic racism that not only for over 400 years, but continuously we have encountered.
Also this week, I'm sure you will applaud this as a civil rights leader, the state of Mississippi removed the Confederate symbol from its flag, its state flag, for the first time in 126 years. That's been a symbol of hate for a long time in the South.
For a long time, and Mississippi was the last state to eradicate that symbol of the Confederacy. And I applaud the state of Mississippi. I attended Mississippi Valley State University for 2 years. Have a lot of friends in Mississippi. And I just applaud the state of Mississippi because as many of us know through history, it's never too late to do right. And we have to give them their accolades because time is of the essence. And this particular issue, it was time sensitive. And thank God for the recognition of the people in Mississippi in the leadership role because they did it. I don't care how long it took, they did it. And I applaud them.
What about other symbols of the Confederacy and racism? Many folks are trying to remove Confederate monuments, Confederate statues. Where do you line up on that, Dr. Steele?
Well, that's, I'm one of the first who went around the South and approached, in particular, Mississippi. I went to Mississippi a few years ago, and you remember that, man. I left Mississippi and went to Louisiana. I addressed the city council in New Orleans and told them no monuments need to go. I addressed the citizenry in the atrium of the State House of Mississippi and got big coverage on that rebel symbol in their flag need to go. So you know what, man? God is so good. Even though we impact upon that at that particular time, God got his own timing. You see what has taken place in Louisiana and Mississippi, but guess what? SC is a extension of God's plan. God gave us a gift, and it was called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And because of that, and as you know, Maynard, just a couple of years ago, we got the statue of Dr. King on the Capitol grounds in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was all led by SCLC.
Finally, I want to talk about something that may put a smile on your face. This is the 100th anniversary of Negro League Baseball. Could you play, Dr. Steele? Were you any good?
I played baseball, tried to play basketball, but I was in the Little League in my hometown, Tuscaloosa baseball. And I couldn't make the baseball team at Druid High School in Tuscaloosa. But guess what? I told the coach I'll be the bat boy.
There you go.
I was the bat boy because I couldn't make the team. But I did make the team as a quarterback on the football team. Baseball has always been something that I played, and my friends and I still talk about it. We played baseball in the streets. When a car came, we politely got out the way and went right back after the car passed because we had no room of no expansion of a baseball field. So we played in the streets.
So
in terms of, it was stick ball, it was kick ball, it was all kind of balls. We even played football on the asphalt. That's all we had because our mothers and fathers ran us out of our yards because we were destroying the perpetual care of the grass.
But the Negro Leagues was something special, something we took pride in, did we not? I mean, it was
We did. I used to see the great leaders that played in the Negro League. They came to a community in my hometown of Tuscaloosa called Hope, Alabama. They were known for baseball. They had a baseball team came from Indianapolis called the Indianapolis Clowns. And they were like the Harlem Globetrotters. I don't know if you ever heard of them. It was Indianapolis. You talking about, and my dad had carried me out there. to this baseball diamond. You talk about some skilled, gifted players that were called the Negro Baseball League, and they performed, and I had one of the best times of my life to watch them and to witness history with all of that talent.
But before Dr. King, before many other past leaders, the man who really broke the color line was Jackie Robinson in 1947, right? Then we used to look at him with pride.
Jackie Robinson was great. Jackie Robinson came out of the Negro Baseball League. But what people don't realize, man, he had a brother that was as good as he was. And his brother got a silver medal. He was a great athlete himself out of Los Angeles, California. I think it was Compton, right there in Compton, California. Jackie Robinson's brother won and got a silver medal, and guess what? He got no attention for it. But guess what? He went back and worked on the sanitation department with the city. He was a gifted athlete, just like Jackie Robinson, but he never got his due, and he never had any hard feelings about that. But for your knowledge, Jackie Robinson is also a cousin of my wife. And watch it now.
We always knew she had talent. We always knew your wife had talent.
She always had talent. And our grandson is a great baseball player, 13 years of age. And I told my wife, don't look at me, but look on your side of the family. You know, he's great. But my wife is an extended cousin of Willie Mays. Not Jackie Robinson. Let me make that correction. Willie Mays and not Jackie Robinson.
Another great pioneer, if I will. But Dr. Steele, didn't that integration of baseball ruin the Negro League? Did it not? I mean, it's another example how integration could tear down Black institutions.
Integration destroyed the Negro Baseball League just like it destroyed Black businesses. And that's the part where Dr. King said that he missed in so many words. The economics aspect of what we accomplished. We did not include that because we thought integration was going to take care of everything. You were like Dr. Lowry used to always say, and I give him credit. We gained the right to check in, but my Lord, we don't have the right to check out because that's when you pay the bills. And we missed that in terms of economics.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the wisdom and the words of our president, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. This has been SCLC TV. See you next week.